Hi everybody, it's Allison from Preserve for Life. Today I thought I'd just bring you along, I should say this evening. I'm going to be making some beef broth from scratch, and I'm going to pressure can it once it's all done, but it's going to take a while to cook. So I just thought I'd start with showing you all of the ingredients involved. So what I have here is I have some beef bones with lots of meat actually around it that I got from a local, not too far away from here, market. Really nice from the Mennonite market. Some really nice meat and lots of bone there. Then I have a couple packages of bone that I got this one at the grocery store, and this one I also got at the market. So there's quite a bit here, as well as I'm going to be doing the mirepoix, which is the carrots, the celery, and the onions. And back over here I've got some garlic and some apple cider vinegar. Now, as well, I have my big roaster, 18-quart roaster here that I've got water already in it. And what I'm going to do is add all of these ingredients and let it roast overnight, and probably all day tomorrow. And then tomorrow night I will remove everything, strain the broth, and put the broth in the fridge so that the fat will come to the surface, and leave it in the fridge overnight, and then the fat will be easily scraped off the top. And then what's left I will put in a stock pot and then bring it up to heat. Then I will fill some jars and pressure can them. So I'll be back once I've got everything in the roaster, and you can see what it looks like. See you in a bit. Okay, I'm back. So I just wanted to show you I've got the meat and the bones and the onions, celery, carrots, and garlic in the roaster. Now, you might notice there that I've still got the skins on the onions. The reason I do that is because it actually gives a nice dark color to your broth if you use the skins. The other thing I'm going to do is I have this Bragg's apple cider vinegar, and I'm going to throw in, I don't know, maybe 2 tablespoons. I'm not really going to measure it. I'm just going to kind of go like this. That's good enough. The reason why you want to put the apple cider vinegar in your broth is it helps to bring all of the vitamins and minerals out of the marrow that is in the bones. You don't taste vinegar once the broth is done cooking. It just adds a wonderful thing to your broth. Anyway, I've got the temperature right now. I guess it's about 300, but I'm going to bring it back to about 250 now that it's had a chance to heat up a little bit. And I'm going to put the lid on it, and I'm going to leave it overnight. So, and it's going to roast there all night long, and actually I'm going to leave it all day tomorrow and probably supper time. It's now about 9:45 at night. I'm going to let it go all day tomorrow, and probably supper time tomorrow I will strain off the broth, put it in separate containers in the fridge, as I said earlier, to let the fat cool and come to the top. And then the next morning I let it try to cool for anywhere from 24 to 36 hours, because sometimes it takes that long for the fat to solidify and come to the surface. And then I will scrape off the fat and strain it one more time through cheesecloth so that all the solids, etc., go into the cheesecloth and the pure broth comes out to the bottom. I will then put it in a stock pot. I will bring it up to temperature, and then I will fill quart-sized mason jars and pressure can it. And because it's just broth without the meat, it will be pressure canned to quarts for 25 minutes. Anyway, I'll bring you back when I get to that point. There will be quite a bit of meat that's going to come off these bones, as you saw earlier, and I will pick that apart, and I will use that meat probably in a soup or stew or something like that, so it's not going to go to waste. Anyway, so that's it so far. I'll bring you back as I get further on down the road. Okay? Okay, it's the next day, everybody. And I don't know if you can see this without me fogging up the lenses, but this is what the broth is looking like. The house just smells amazing. I woke up this morning and could tell right away that I had the beef broth, bone broth cooking. The smell is just really, really nice. Anyway, I'll be back just to show you. This is at about 7:16 in the morning, so it's been on since about 9:30 last night, and this will continue today. And I'm going to top up the water a little bit because some of it has evaporated overnight, just to keep it. I could just leave it and not do it and it'd be more concentrated flavor, but I am going to top it up at least another inch anyway. So I'll be back to show you the next step. Okay, everybody, it's the next night. It's a little around supper time, and as you can see, I've taken all the meat and the vegetables out of the roaster, and look at that nice rich brown broth. I'm going to pour it off in a few minutes into a strainer, but I just wanted to see what it looks like afterwards. I'll see if I can get in a little bit closer there. Really, really rich looking. And then I separated things. So in this bowl here is the vegetables that I'm going to reuse I'm going to actually grind them up and make a nice thickening for a soup. And this is just the scraps that will probably go to the garbage. And back over here is the nice beef that will go into the soup. And then over here is all the bones that I took out with all the marrow. And I'm actually going to run them through another cycle. As soon as I drain off this broth, I'm going to put those bones back in and cover them with water and let them roast for another 4 or 5 hours. And but this broth, as I said, I'm going to strain it, put it into bowls with lids on it, put that in the fridge. It'll be in the fridge overnight. And actually, it's probably going to be there till Saturday morning. This is Thursday night because I'm busy on Friday. But that's the plan. Let that fat come to the top and solidify so I can scrape it off. So I'm not going to waste anything. This stuff here is all going to be used with the exception of this small bowl, which is waste. But I'll make soup with it. And the bones I'll recycle again. So I'll get more than what's here. And that roaster's about half full, and it's an 18-quart roaster. Now by the time the fat comes off, etc., and all is said and done, I'm estimating I'll probably get about anywhere from 6 to 8 quarts of beef bone broth from that. So the next phase then, as I said, drain this off, let it refrigerate. I'll put these scraps in the fridge, and the bones I'm going to put right back in the roaster and start the process again, but this time it won't take as long because I'm just going to try to get all as much goodness out of it as I can. So when I'm ready to go on to the next phase, probably when I skim off the fat, I'll bring you back. Okay. Hey everybody, this is Saturday morning. I'm now ready to start to process my beef broth, and you'll notice on the bowl here I started to skim off the fat and see how it's solidified, come to the top and turned white. I don't know if you can see this in the camera or not, but this stuff right here is really thick and gelatinous, and that's exactly what you want. It's really, really rich and really, really good for you. Anyway, I'm going to skim off all this fat. I've got this bowl and I've got this bowl. And then I'll bring you back when I'm ready to start canning it. Okay? Okay, just wanted to bring you back briefly just to show you. This is the fat that I skimmed off the top. And then there's the gelatinous bowls of soon-to-be beef broth. That's really nice and jelly-like, and that's what comes from the marrow of the bones, and it's just full of all kinds of vitamins and minerals. Anyway, next stage now is I'm going to start to heat up the broth, and I'll get my pressure canner going, and I'll get my jars washed and ready to be filled with this hot broth, and then I'll pressure can it. So I'll bring you back when I get there. Okay, I thought I'd bring you back to show you the tools that I'm going to be using today to make the beef bone broth. I've got my lids and rings in here. They're in hot water, not boiling hot water, but hot water. I've got my, this is my magnet tool for taking the lids and rings out of the bowl. And there's my, I don't know what you call it, grabber thing that grabs the jars in and out of the canner. And there's my funnel back there. And I've got 6 quart size clean and washed jars. Now, because I'm pressure canning, I don't have to sterilize the jars because the pressure canner will do that, but I've just washed them out with some warm soapy water. And over here is my 21 quart All-American pressure canner. And what I've done is I've put 3 liters of water in the bottom. You'll see there's one rack that the jars will stack on. Now, if you were going to be doing pints, you can double stack. In this one, I can only put up to 7 quarts at one time. But I do have another rack right over here that if I was doing pints, after I filled the bottom with, I believe it holds 9 pints, I could put this rack on top of those and put another 9 pints. So I could do a total of 18 pints in my All-American. This one is my stock pot. I'm just going to put this lid back on. And I have the broth heating up in the stock pot. Now I estimate that I'm going to have between 5 and 6 quarts. So I have done and prepared 6 quarts. I'm pretty sure it's not going to go over that. And if it did, it would only be a partial jar, and I would just put that in the fridge and use that up first. So I'll bring you back when I'm at the point of filling the jars and putting them in the pressure canner. Okay, so I filled the jars up, and as you can see, I got 5 full quarts, and I got a part jar, which is okay because I'll use that today. I'm going to make some beef soup, beef vegetable soup, with the scraps of the beef and the vegetables. And I'll add a bunch of other things to it as well. But anyway, I just wanted to show you this. And now I'm just heating up the water in my All-American canner. And then I'm going to immediately put these jars in the pressure canner, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, there's my 5 quarts in the canner. And I'm going to now put the lid on it. I'm having to do this one-handed because I'm holding the camera, but I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little arrow right there. It needs to match up with this little divot. And it's really heavy. And then what I have to do is just tighten up these. You can't really see that one, can you? There's one here. There's 6 of them all the way around, but you kind of have to do them opposite one another too at the same time. So this one here I will do with the opposite one over here, both at the same time. So I'm going to put the camera down and I'll bring you back. Okay, I've got all my clamps tightened, and I've got it turned on high. And what's going to happen is it's going to start to vent out of this little thing right here. And as soon as it starts to show a real steady stream of steam, then you're going to set your timer for 10 minutes. You're going to let it vent for 10 minutes. And then once it has vented, you're going to put the 10, in my case, my altitude here where I live is under 1,000 feet. So I will use a 10-pound pressure weight that will go on top of it. But it has to vent for 10 minutes first. So I'll bring you back as soon as it starts to do the real steady stream so that you can see it and hear it. And I'll time it for 10 minutes. Then I'll put the weight on it. And then I have to wait for the pressure gauge, which is shown right here, to get up to 10 pounds of pressure. 10 pounds of pressure will be about right where my finger is, right there. And once it comes up to pressure, the weight that I'm going to put here is going to start to really, really jiggle. And at that point, and when I know that it's at 10 pounds of pressure, and it's jiggling, I will then set my timer for processing. Because these are quarts and it's beef broth, it doesn't have the meat in it, the processing time is 25 minutes. If you were doing pints, you would process for 20 minutes. If you were doing meat, however, you would, if it was quarts, you'd have to process it for 90 minutes, and if it was pints, you'd have to process it for 75 minutes. But because it's just broth, it's only 25 for quarts and 20 minutes for pints. Okay, so I'll bring you back when we get to this steady stream of steam. Thanks. Okay, so we're now getting a steady stream of steam. Say that 6 times fast. But I don't know that you can see the steam coming up, but you can certainly hear it. So I just set my timer for 10 minutes. When the 10 minutes is up, I will then put the weight on and I'll bring you back then. You can hear it and you can see the bubbling happening here. Okay, we now have a steady stream of steam that's been going for 10 minutes. So now I'm going to put my weight on it, which I'll show you. And you'll notice it has a 5, a 10, and a 15. And that is the pounds of pressure. Now, as I said earlier, for my altitude, which is under 1,000 feet above sea level, I will be using 10. So I'm just going to put the 10 pounds on top, and you notice the noise went down significantly. And again, this gauge over here has started to climb just with the venting, but it still needs to come up to 10 pounds of pressure. And as soon as it gets there, the whole point of the weight is it starts to jiggle furiously, and this will over here show you 10 pounds, you know you're there. That's when you start the timing for your processing. And in this case, it's going to be 25 minutes. So I'll bring you back when that is ready to happen. Okay, we're not quite to 10 pounds of pressure, but as you can see, the gauge is rising. We're almost there. But one thing I did want to mention is my broth wasn't as dark as I have seen it. And part of the reason is I was too anxious to get started on it, and I didn't roast it in the beef and the bones in the oven prior to putting them in the roaster. If you do that, you get a bit of caramelization, and that's when it actually gives a real richness and a real darkness to your broth. But you could do that. I didn't do it. It's nothing wrong with it. It's just my broth isn't as dark as it could be. So now you hear this jiggling. It's going a little bit furiously, and you'll notice that we are now up to 10 pounds of pressure. So this is the point when I will set the timer for 25 minutes. I will bring you back when that's done. Then what you have to do is got to wait for this gauge to come back down to 0 before you can open the lid. You never want to open that lid until you're back down to 0. Now I usually leave it another 15 minutes beyond that to a half an hour just to make sure. Because if you open it too quickly, you risk the siphoning of liquid out of your jars. You risk breaking your jars, cracking your jars. You don't want all that hard work to go down the drain. So just be patient. Wait for it to get to 0 pounds of pressure, and then another 15 minutes to a half an hour. So I will bring you back when we're all done and I'm ready to bring this out of the cannon. As I said, you see how it's really jiggling, making a lot of racket. Okay, we'll see you in a bit. The other thing I neglected to mention is that when this happens, the severe jiggling and the 10 pounds of pressure, you need to turn your stove down. It's been on high to get up to pressure. Now you need to turn it down. Now, on my stove, I don't know if you can see that very well, I've brought it down to about 6. You get to know what the sweet spot is on your stove, but basically this jiggling, when that temperature does gradually come down, the jiggling will stop, and it will just kind of do intermittently about 1 jiggle every 10-20 seconds. That's what you want. You want to get that heat down to a certain level. Now, as I said, I've gotten to know my stove And between 5 and 6 is usually where my sweet spot is. So that's where it's going to be. Okay, we're back. My 25 minutes is now up. So you see that that's not jiggling non-stop because, as I said, I turned the temperature down, but it does every few seconds, 10 seconds or so, it will start to jiggle. And now it's going to make a liar out of me because it's not doing it, but trust me, it has been. So now I'm going to shut the burner off, and I'm just going to let it sit now. I'm going to let that temperature, or I should say pressure, see, there it goes, is going to come right down to 0. And I'm going to wait another 15 minutes to half an hour before I open the lid, just to make sure that the pressure is indeed totally down. When I open it up, I'm going to show you, you'll see that the jars will still be boiling inside, and that's okay. And I'll bring them out, and I will put them on this nice clean towel, and I'll let them cool, and I'll let them actually sit for 24 hours before I'll do anything with them. And at the 24-hour mark, I will take the rings off, make sure they're sealed, of course, and label them beef broth, December 2014, and downstairs in the cold storage room it will go. Okay, so I'll bring you back when this is down to 0. As you can see, it's already starting to come down a little bit. It's about 9 pounds of pressure, whereas it was at 10, because now that I've shut the burner off. But I'll bring you back when I'm ready to open the canner, and I'll show you what they look like. Okay? Okay, everybody. As you can see, my pressure has now come down to just below 0, and it's been that way for about 15-20 minutes. I have taken down my little clamps around that, and I'm ready to open it. First of all, I want to remove the weight, but it's really, really, really hot, so make sure you use a hot pad or something like that to take it off. You'll hear a little bit of hissing. Okay, but it's not like a full gush of steam or anything like that, so you know you're ready to open the lid. Okay? So let's try this one-handed. I'm just going to turn it. Now always, always, always open it away from you so that the steam that comes out doesn't burn you. So I'm going to lift away like that, and I'm going to bring it over to the table just to set it down. And you see, there we go. So now I'm going to take them out one at a time with my tongs. That's the word I was missing earlier when I was trying to explain to you what these were called. And over we come. Now, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but there's some boilage still happening. That's okay. And any second now, oh, there we go. You heard that pop, pop, pop? That's the sealing that's happening, and that the ping. And that is a canner's wonderful sound. It's like music to our ears. Okay, because that means that your jars are sealing, and that's exactly what you want. Pop. Okay. Number 4. You can see there's some boilage happening there. Still going on. And it will do that for a while. These are really, really, really hot, so be careful. So there you have it. There's the finished product. And some of them have already sealed. You'll see that one, the divot is down. That one, the little divot is still up. One's up. But they're getting there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. And come on back to Preserve for Life, and I'll have more in the future. Thanks for your time. Hi guys. Just briefly, I wanted to bring you back to show you what I'm doing with the scraps of the vegetables and the beef that I had saved from the broth. In here, I'm making a soup. And basically, I took all those scrap vegetables and I put them in the blender. to thicken it, because I live a low carbs lifestyle, so I don't eat flour or bread or rice or pasta or potato or anything like that. So I'm just using a natural thickener of those vegetables. And I've got the beef in there, and I've added a few spices like some dried thyme and some garlic and a bay leaf and a little bit of beef bovril powder just to salt it a little bit, and some Worcestershire sauce. Now what I'm also going to add to it is my home canned beef stock. This is a batch that I made previously, and these are some home canned mushrooms, and there's some home canned red kidney beans, and there's some home canned tomato broth. So that's going to be added in as well, because I want to loosen this up a bit because it's a little bit thick. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that absolutely nothing goes to waste. I use it all, but a little, maybe a couple tablespoons of scrap, which was basically the onion skins. So there you go.